For 5,000 years, the smartest aliens in the galaxy tried to solve the mystery of the Zenith device.
This strange machine was covered in swirling symbols that changed and moved. Everyone believed it could help ships travel instantly across space, but no one could make it work. Tae-hyun, the chief engineer at the Arcturus Institute, was frustrated. He had watched the best minds from 17 different alien species fail to activate the device. Today, another team of experts was leaving without success.
"What now?" asked Subin, his assistant. Her blue skin darkened with worry. Tae-hyun flicked his tail in annoyance.
"The council wants results. We've spent too many resources on this project." The Zenith device sat in the middle of a large room.
Its surface glowed with soft blue light as the symbols continued their endless dance. Some said the device was left by an ancient race that disappeared long ago.
Others thought it might be a test from advanced beings watching the younger species.
Whatever its origin, the device had become the greatest challenge in galactic engineering. "Maybe we should take a break from this project," suggested Subin. "We could focus on something else for a while." "The council won't allow it," Tae-hyun said. "The species that solves this puzzle will gain tremendous power and respect. No one wants to give up."
He walked around the device, studying it for the 1,000th time. The cylinder was about 2 meters tall and 1 meter wide. It was made of a material no one could identify, and it seemed to hover slightly above its base. The symbols on its surface never repeated in the same pattern.
"We've tried everything," Tae-hyun said.
"We've analyzed the material, scanned it with every device we have, tested all possible energy sources, and attempted every combination of touches on its surface."
Subin nodded. "The Volari tried mathematical codes for 300 years.
The Zenith used quantum field theories for 600 years. The Morrigan spent 1,000 years trying to communicate with it telepathically." Tae-hyun stopped in front of the device and stared at it.
"What are we missing? What haven't we tried?" Later that day, Tae-hyun met with the Council of Engineers.
7 alien leaders from different species sat around a large table.
They didn't look happy.
"Another failure," said Council Leader Jin-soo.
His 4 eyes blinked slowly in disappointment. "How many more teams must we watch fail before we admit defeat?"
"We are not giving up," said Hyun-jin, the representative from the Morrigan. "My species has devoted a millennium to this challenge."
"And what do we have to show for it?" asked Jin-soo. "Nothing. Absolutely nothing." Tae-hyun cleared his throat. "The device is responding to something. We've noticed that the symbols move faster when certain energy fields are applied. We just haven't found the right combination yet." The council members looked skeptical.
They had heard similar reports for thousands of years.
"Perhaps," said Dae-hoon, the oldest member of the council, "we need a completely new approach."
Everyone turned to look at him.
Dae-hoon rarely spoke at meetings. "What do you suggest?" asked Tae-hyun.
"There's a new species that joined the galactic community about 50 years ago," Dae-hoon said.
"They're called humans.
They're quite primitive in many ways, but they have a unique way of thinking." The room filled with murmurs and clicks of disbelief.
"Humans?" Jin-soo laughed. "They've barely mastered space travel. What could they possibly know about ancient technology?"
"That's exactly why they might help," Dae-hoon replied.
"They aren't limited by our scientific traditions. They might see something we've missed." The debate lasted for hours.
Most council members thought it was a ridiculous idea.
Humans were known for their strange emotions and unpredictable behavior.
They were interesting as a study subject but not as scientific partners.
Finally, Tae-hyun spoke up. "We've tried everything else. What do we have to lose?"
After more argument, the council agreed to invite one human expert to examine the device.
They would choose someone with problem-solving skills but no specific background in advanced physics or engineering.
They wanted a fresh perspective, not another scientist who would follow the same paths they had already explored.
1 week later, Tae-hyun received the name of the human who would visit the institute, Jae-woo Park. "Let's hope this human can see what we cannot," he said to Subin as they prepared for the arrival.
After 5,000 years, we could use a miracle. The spaceship carrying Jaiwo Park landed at the Arcturus Institute on a quiet morning. It was much smaller than the massive vessels used by most galactic species.
Taehyun watched from the landing pad as the door opened and a human female stepped out.
She was shorter than he expected. Most aliens towered over humans, but Jaiwoo seemed especially small. She had dark hair tied back from her face and wore simple clothes, nothing like the formal uniforms of alien scientists.
"Welcome to Arcturus," Taehyun said, bowing slightly. He had studied human customs before her arrival. "I am Chief Engineer Taehyun." Jaiwoo smiled and returned the bow. "Thank you for inviting me. This is my first time traveling beyond our solar system." Taehyun blinked in surprise. The council had sent someone with no experience in deep space travel? This seemed like a mistake. "Please follow me," he said, trying to hide his disappointment. "I will show you to your quarters." As they walked through the institute, Jaiwoo looked at everything with wide eyes.
She asked questions about the architecture, the strange plants growing in the halls, and the various alien species they passed.
Taehyun answered politely, but he was beginning to think this experiment would fail quickly. "What exactly do you do on Earth?" he finally asked.
"I solve puzzles," Jaiwoo replied.
"Puzzles? What kind of puzzles?" "All kinds. Mathematical puzzles, physical puzzles, people puzzles. Companies hire me when they have problems no one else can solve." Taehyun stopped walking. "But you have no scientific training?"
"I studied many subjects, but I don't have advanced degrees," Jaiwoo admitted.
"I just see patterns others miss." Taehyun sighed.
The council had truly sent someone with no qualifications. But orders were orders. He would show her the device and then report the inevitable failure.
After Jaiwoo settled into her room, Taehyun took her to see the Zenith device.
Several other engineers were already there, including Subin and Ambassador Do-hyun, who represented the council. "This is the challenge that has confounded our best minds for 5 millennia, Do-hyun said formally. His 4 eyes studied Jaiwoo carefully.
"We do not expect immediate results." Jaiwoo nodded and approached the device slowly.
The other aliens watched, curious about how a human would react to such advanced technology. Instead of asking for data or tools, Jaiwoo simply walked around the cylinder, studying the moving symbols. She didn't touch anything or speak for several minutes.
"May I ask what it's supposed to do?" she finally said.
The aliens exchanged glances.
Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Zenith device and its potential. "It's believed to be a transportation system," Taehyun explained. "If activated, it would allow instant travel between distant points in space." "How do you know that if no one has activated it?" Jaiwoo asked. This simple question caught them off guard.
Subin answered, "Ancient texts mention such technology.
And the material of the device matches fragments found at supposed destination points across the galaxy." Jaiwoo nodded and went back to studying the symbols.
After a while, she began to hum quietly to herself.
"What are you doing?" Do-hyun asked sharply.
"Just thinking," Jaiwoo replied. "The patterns remind me of something, but I can't quite place it." The engineers watched as Jaiwoo continued her examination. Some began to whisper among themselves.
This was not how they approached engineering problems. Where were her calculations? Her instruments? Her team of assistants? After 2 hours, Taehyun suggested they break for a meal.
Jaiwoo agreed, but asked if she could return to see the device again afterward. During the meal, the aliens peppered Jaiwoo with questions about Earth and human technology.
They seemed surprised by how primitive human science was compared to their own.
"Your species has only been in space for about a century," Subin noted.
"You haven't even colonized your own solar system properly."
"We're slow learners sometimes," Jaiwoo agreed with a smile.
"But we get there eventually. What makes you think you can solve what 17 advanced species could not?" Do-hyun asked bluntly. Jaiwoo considered the question. "Sometimes being an outsider helps."
You all share certain assumptions about how technology works.
I don't have those same assumptions.
After the meal, they returned to the chamber.
Jaiwo asked if she could have access to records of previous attempts to activate the device.
I want to see what hasn't worked, she explained. Sometimes the path to the answer lies in understanding all the wrong turns.
Taehyun provided her with the records, though they were extensive.
Jaiwo settled in to read, occasionally glancing at the device as the symbols shifted and changed. By the end of the day, many engineers had lost interest and left.
Only Taehyun and Subin remained with Jaiwoo.
You should rest, Taehyun suggested.
We can continue tomorrow.
Jaiwoo nodded, her eyes tired but excited.
I think I'm starting to see something interesting in these patterns. Tomorrow might bring surprises. On the second day, Jaiwoo arrived early at the chamber that held the Zenith device.
She had slept little, her mind filled with the swirling patterns she had observed. Taehyun found her already circling the device, making notes on a small tablet she had brought from Earth. Did you discover something? He asked hopefully.
Maybe, Jaiwoo replied. I noticed something about the patterns.
They never repeat exactly, but they follow rules, like music.
Taehyun tilted his head. Music? We've analyzed the mathematical patterns extensively. Not just math, Jaiwoo explained.
The flow, the rhythm of how they change.
It reminds me of sound waves. More engineers arrived as the morning progressed. They watched with curiosity as Jaiwoo continued her examination.
Some brought advanced scanning equipment, but Jaiwoo mostly used her eyes and occasionally touched the surface gently. Around midday, Ambassador Do-hyun entered with several council members. They had come to check on the humans' progress. Their presence made the room tense.
Any breakthroughs? Do-hyun asked, not bothering to hide his skepticism.
I'm forming a theory, Jaiwoo said.
But I need to test something. May I try an experiment?
The council members nodded. They had seen thousands of experiments over the years, all ending in failure.
Jaiwoo stood directly in front of the device. Your records show that you've tried inputting mathematical sequences, applying various energy fields, and even attempting telepathic communication. But has anyone tried sound? Sound, repeated one council member, a tall alien with green skin. We've exposed it to sound waves of all frequencies. Not just random sounds, Jaiwoo clarified. Harmonics. Music.
The aliens looked at each other in confusion.
Taehyun stepped forward. We don't understand. This is an engineering problem, not an artistic one. Jaiwoo smiled.
On Earth, we've learned that the line between science and art isn't always clear.
Sound effects matter. Certain frequencies can break glass or move sand into patterns. Without waiting for permission, Jaiwoo began to hum a simple melody.
The low tone filled the chamber.
At first, nothing happened. Some aliens shifted impatiently.
Then Subin gasped.
Look at the symbols.
The patterns on the device were moving faster, flowing in time with Jaiwoo's humming. When she changed notes, the symbols shifted color slightly. That's impossible, whispered Do-hyun.
It's responding to her voice. Jaiwoo stopped humming, and the patterns slowed again.
Not just my voice, she explained.
The specific notes, the harmony.
Music is mathematical, but it's also about feeling.
It's about resonance. You think the device is activated by singing to it? Taehyun couldn't hide his disbelief.
Not exactly singing, Jaiwoo said. But yes, I think it responds to harmonic vibrations produced in a specific pattern.
You've been trying to decode the symbols as if they were instructions or a language. But what if they're notes? What if this isn't a code to crack but a song to sing? The room fell silent as the aliens considered this strange idea.
It seemed too simple, too primitive for such advanced technology. This is absurd, muttered one council member.
Advanced technology requires precision engineering, not primitive noises.
Actually, said Subin, who had been quiet until now, many physical principles in the universe relate to harmonics and vibration. From quantum field theories to gravitational waves.
Jaiwoo nodded gratefully at Subin. Exactly. What if the creators of this device understood something fundamental about how vibration connects everything? What if they built a system that responds to the universal language of resonance? Taehyun looked thoughtful. Our species hear differently than humans.
Our range of perception varies widely.
Perhaps we've been missing something obvious because we literally couldn't hear it. Jaiwoo approached the device again. I'm going to try something more complex. If I'm right, the device will respond more strongly to certain tones and patterns.
She placed her hands on specific points of the cylinder where the symbols seemed to converge. Then she began to sing a clear, rising melody.
The notes echoed in the chamber.
The symbols on the device instantly brightened and began to pulse in sync with her voice. Where her hands touched the surface, the material glowed warmly. The aliens watched in amazement as the device responded. 5,000 years of scientific approaches had yielded nothing, yet this human simple song was creating a reaction they had never seen before.
It's just the first step, Jaiwoo said between notes. I need to find the right sequence, the right harmony. But I'm certain now, this isn't a machine you program. It's an instrument you play.
The council members looked at each other in shock.
Could it really be this simple? Had they been overthinking the problem for millennia?
Keep going, Taehyun encouraged her. We're seeing something new for the first time in 5,000 years.
Jaiwoo continued singing to the device, experimenting with different notes and patterns.
Each time she changed her melody, the symbols shifted in new ways. The aliens watched in stunned silence as the device responded more strongly with each attempt.
This is remarkable, whispered Subin.
In all our records, there's never been this level of response.
After several minutes, Jaiwoo paused to catch her breath.
The symbols continued to pulse faintly, as if waiting for her to continue.
I need to understand the pattern better, she said. The device seems to prefer certain harmonies over others. Taehyun stepped closer. What made you think of music as the key? Jaiwoo smiled. The way the symbols flow reminded me of sound visualization.
On Earth, we have tools that show sound as visual patterns. These symbols move like those patterns.
But why would advanced technology respond to something so primitive? Asked Do-hyun. His four eyes blinked rapidly, showing his confusion. Music isn't primitive, Jaiwoo replied. It's one of the universal constants. Mathematical relationships between frequencies create harmony.
These relationships exist everywhere in nature, from the smallest atomic vibrations to the orbits of planets.
Word spread quickly through the institute. More aliens gathered to watch the humans' unusual approach.
Some scoffed at the idea, while others watched with fascination.
Jaiwoo asked for information about the locations of other Zenith artifacts across the galaxy.
Taehyun provided star maps showing where similar devices had been found.
There's a pattern here too, Jaiwoo said, studying the maps. The devices are positioned at specific intervals. Like notes on a scale.
She began to sing again, this time a more complex melody that rose and fell in a specific pattern.
As she sang, she touched different points on the device. The symbols pulsed brightly, and for the first time, the core of the cylinder began to glow with a soft blue light. It's activating! Taehyun exclaimed. The assembled aliens murmured in excitement. Jaiwoo continued her song, focusing intensely on maintaining the correct pattern. The blue glow grew stronger, spreading from the core to the entire device. Suddenly, she stopped. I'm missing something. It's responding, but not fully activating. Perhaps it requires more power, suggested an engineer from the back of the room. Jaiwoo shook her head. No, it's not about power. It's about the right sequence, the right harmony. She turned to Taehyun.
You said 17 species have tried to solve this puzzle.
Do they all perceive sound the same way? Taehyun blinked in surprise. No, of course not. Some species hear frequencies humans cannot detect. Others feel vibrations rather than hearing them. That's it, Jaiwoo exclaimed. The device isn't designed for just one type of being. It's meant to be universal. It probably needs a full spectrum of harmonics, some beyond what I can produce. She looked around the room at the various alien species. We need to work together. Each species can contribute the sounds only they can make. This was a revolutionary idea. For millennia, each species had worked separately, competing to be the first to solve the puzzle. The idea of collaboration was uncomfortable for many. How would this even work? Asked Do-hyun skeptically. Like an orchestra, Jaiwoo explained. Each instrument plays its part, creating something greater than any could achieve alone. After much discussion, a plan was formed. Representatives from 5 different species would join Jaiwoo in creating a harmonic sequence. Each would produce sounds in their unique range while following the pattern Jaiwoo had discovered. They practiced separately at first, then came together around the device. Jaiwoo conducted them, indicating when each should join the harmony. The sounds blended together, some audible to humans, others felt only as vibrations or detected by specialized organs. As the multi-species chorus continued, the device's response grew stronger. The blue glow intensified until it filled the entire chamber. The symbols moved faster and faster until they became a blur of light. Then, with a soft chime that everyone present could somehow hear despite their different auditory systems, the center of the device opened. A holographic display appeared above it, showing a map of the galaxy with countless points of light connected by glowing lines. The transportation network, breathed Taehyun in awe. It's real. Jaiwoo stepped closer to examine the hologram. Each point must be a location of another device. A network connecting the entire galaxy. The aliens stared in wonder at the map. 5,000 years of failure had ended because of one human's different perspective. Music, said Chief Engineer Taehyun, shaking his head in amazement. The greatest engineering challenge in known space responds to music. Jaiwoo smiled. Not just music, harmony. Working together in synchronized resonance. Maybe that was the real lesson all along. The device continued to glow, ready at last to share its secrets with the galaxy. News of the Zenith device's activation spread across the galaxy faster than light. Within days, ships from all 17 spacefaring species arrived at the Arcturus Institute to witness the miracle. The once quiet research station became the center of galactic attention. Jaiwoo found herself suddenly famous. Aliens of all kinds wanted to meet the human who had solved the 5,000-year puzzle. Some came to thank her, others to learn from her, and a few simply to see if the stories were true. I never expected this, she told Taehyun as they watched another diplomatic vessel arrive. On Earth, I'm just another problem solver. Taehyun's skin rippled with amusement. You've changed everything, Jaiwoo. Nothing will be the same after this. He was right. The Council of Engineers had already begun organizing teams to activate the other Zenith devices across the galaxy. Each team included members from multiple species, working together to create the harmonic sequences needed. And every team had at least one human. 2 weeks after the first activation, Jaiwoo stood before the full council. All 17 species were represented, their different shapes and sizes making the room look like a strange collection of life forms. The first successful jump has been completed, announced Council Leader Jin-soo. A ship traveled from the Arcturus system to the Proxima system in less than 1 second. A journey that would normally take 15 years. The council chamber filled with sounds of celebration, clicks, whistles, rumbles, and chimes. Each species expressed joy in their own way. This is just the beginning, continued Jin-soo. Soon, the entire network will be activated. The galaxy will truly be connected for the first time. Jaiwoo listened with a sense of wonder. Her simple insight about harmony had unlocked something that would change civilization forever. After the meeting, Ambassador Do-hyun approached her. His 4 eyes blinked in a pattern that Jaiwoo had learned meant respect. The council has a request, he said. We want Earth to join the Galactic Consortium as a full member. Jaiwoo gasped.
Earth had only been granted observer status 50 years ago.
Full membership usually took centuries to achieve. But we're so far behind technologically, she said.
Technology isn't everything, Do-Hyen replied. Your species has something perhaps more valuable, a different way of thinking.
We need that perspective. Within months, human consultants were being requested across the galaxy. Engineers, musicians, artists, and thinkers traveled to distant worlds to help with problems that alien technology couldn't solve.
Earth, once considered a primitive backwater planet, became known as the world of creative problem solvers.
The Zenith network changed everything. Travel that once took decades now happened in moments. Trade flourished. Cultural exchange boomed.
Species that had barely communicated before now worked side by side.
1 year after her discovery, Jaiwo returned to the Arcturus Institute. She was now Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Consortium, a position created especially for her.
Taehyun met her at the landing pad, his scales gleaming in the light of the system's 3 suns.
"Welcome back," he said, bowing deeply.
They walked together through the institute, which had grown significantly. New buildings had been added to accommodate the increased activity. In the center stood a statue showing figures from different species working together around a zenith device. They call it the Harmony Monument, Taehyun explained.
It represents the new spirit of cooperation. Jaiwoo smiled. It's beautiful. They entered the original chamber where Jaiwoo had first activated the device. It looked smaller than she remembered, but the zenith cylinders still pulsed with soft blue light. "We've learned so much," said Taehyun. "The network connects over 10,000 points across the galaxy. Some devices are on planets, others in space. Together, they form the most advanced transportation system ever created." "Have you learned who built them?" Jaiwoo asked. Taehyun shook his head. "Not yet. But we have theories."
The need for multiple species to work together suggests the creators valued diversity and cooperation. Perhaps they left these devices as a test to see if we could learn to work together. As they spoke, a group of young aliens entered the chamber with a human teacher. The teacher was explaining how the device worked, showing them the points where different harmonies should be applied.
"The next generation will grow up in a very different galaxy," Taehyun observed. Jaiwoo nodded. "A more connected one, I hope."
Later that day, at a formal ceremony, Jaiwoo was presented with the highest honor the consortium could bestow, the title of Galaxy Harmonizer. "For 5,000 years, we looked at the universe through the lens of our own understanding," said Council Leader Jin-soo in his speech. Jaiwoo Park reminded us that sometimes, the greatest discoveries come not from what we know, but from what we're willing to learn from others.
As the ceremony ended, Jaiwoo looked out at the faces of so many different species. Once strangers, now partners in exploration.
The galaxy had entered a new era of cooperation and discovery, all because someone thought to sing to a machine.